For a long time when I was doing my coaching here, I've been doing this full time for almost 7 years now, and more than 10 years in this space. And most of the time that I was doing this, I had this impression that people were working with me because of the tools I could give them or the information that I could bestow. Like I had this kind of hidden secret wisdom that they've never heard before. And we live in such an information economy now where you could go to AI and ask it to spit out any sorts of psychoanalytical tools that you want. You might not know how to use them effectively, but you can have access to the tools. You can find the hidden wisdom. And so material like this is not rare anymore. And yet my coaching business picked up even after the advent of AI. And so it's like, why did that happen? Like for the longest time, I thought people were coming to me for the specific tools that they wouldn't otherwise find, and yet they're working with me, but they could totally find those on, you know, ChatGPT or something. So what were they coming to me for? And I eventually realized it's actually not that long ago, but it's just been continually reinforced by multiple clients. I was working with a client a couple weeks ago. She was going her own way and kind of following her own the beat of her own drum, and I was getting a little frustrated with her, of like, hey, look, you've hired me to bring you into alignment with you to ultimately attract the right partner for you. And you're not wanting to apply the guidance that I'm giving you. So what did you hire me for? And she's like, no, I didn't hire you to help me attract the right partner. That if that happens down the road, that's awesome. I was kind of surprised, like, well, what did you hire me for? And she said, the reason I hired you is because I've never had a great relationship with a man in my life. Not a father, not a brother, not even my ex-husband. What I really need is a man that I can trust, and a man that I can feel safe to be vulnerable with, and that I can connect with, and he is a masculine mirror for me as an individual. And I need a calm, stabilizing, energetic presence that is a masculine force, so I know what that looks and feels like and resonates as. And then I can use that as a jumping off point to integrate in terms of my interactions with men outside. And I thought, oh, that's what this has been. She's like, yeah. And I imagine this is what your clients have always been. You thought it was the tools and stuff like that. It never was. It wasn't the tools, it wasn't the hidden information. Not to say that those aren't effective. It's not even necessarily the deeper psychological insights in terms of how men think, although that's also effective. But more than anything, what my clients have been hiring me for probably all this time, is a masculine mirror. I serve as a masculine mirror to help stabilize their energy. Part of how they can stabilize into their calm, aligned femininity is because they have a reciprocal masculine mirror that allows them to do that. And I can also tell you, my clients who are able to work in that container with me over an extended period of time, you get, when you start to feel calmer and safer with a masculine force in a long-term professional context, that translates over into a long-term romantic context. You can use this same sort of energy of I feel safe with a masculine figure, and so now I'm also feeling safe to be in a long-term committed romantic relationship with a masculine figure. In addition, you attune yourself to that masculine frequency. And this is the big one. You're tuning yourself to this masculine frequency. If you work with me over 4, 6+ months, whatever it might be, and we're working together during that time, and you get used to what this kind of masculinity feels like, the level of consistency, the level of availability, the level of presence, you feel what that feels like. You attune your frequency. It's like a tuning fork. You're tuning yourself to that particular TV channel, radio station, whatever you want to call it. You're tuning yourself to that frequency. When you tune yourself to that frequency and then you take that out into the world, all of a sudden, men that used to drive you for a loop, men that you used to melt over or get stuck chasing, all of a sudden the level of chaos or the lack of presence or the unavailability overall becomes blatantly obvious. Because you're like, I've been in a close working relationship with a masculine figure for 6 months now who feels a certain level of safety and presence and availability. And now, when I go out into the world, I can tell when the masculine figure is not any of those things. And so men that used to drive you wild, all of a sudden, they're boring or they're too chaotic. Or I can tell immediately this guy's not available because I know what available actually feels like. I know what present actually feels like. And so you've raised your frequency by tuning it to a masculine mirror, and therefore you can take that out into the world, into your romantic relationships. And I've seen after, with information being more available than it's ever been, and people have put in how many thousands of ChatGPT prompts at this point to try to figure out, why is my dating life not working? Why is this not improving? How do I fix my dating life? You can put in all those prompts all you want, and it's not going to solve your problem. I do the same for my business, and it doesn't solve my business problems. It just doesn't. There's something magical that happens when you actually work with someone who's embodying the frequency that you are trying to be. And there's no way around that. And that is the biggest transformation shift that comes. And I came to realize slowly but surely, and it's been really reinforced recently, that the main reason that, in particular, women work with me is not for the tools, not for the information, not even for the deeper insights in terms of how the male mind thinks, although all of those are valuable. More than anything, it is so that I can be a masculine mirror for them, and they can learn to be genuinely open and available and vulnerable and safe with a masculine force, and they tune their frequency to that so that they then take that into their romantic relationships. And if that is something that you feel like you deeply need, maybe you never had a close relationship with a man, or the men that you have known in your life have been decent relationships, but they haven't been aligned like that, tuning yourself to that frequency will have a far bigger impact than any tool, any strategy, any little hack, tip, shift, whatever. All of that is just majoring in the minors. All that stuff barely has any impact. But tuning yourself to that frequency, that is where the big shift's going to come. It took me years to fully realize this is what my purpose was, primarily, in these dynamics. And if that's something you feel like you need, I'd be here for that. Okay? Hope to connect with you soon. If this resonates, we'll talk in more detail.